2021 is closing in fast, and Oakdale Mayor Paul Reinke is here to talk all about the eventful year the city celebrated. Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us on Oakdale Update.
Well, hello again, Frank. It's sure great to be back again.
Yes, it is. You've been here probably 10 times at least, wouldn't you reckon?
Over the last 20 years of
absolutely.
service,
Honest
which
to
is
God.
hard to believe.
Honest
but,
to be, yeah.
I've always enjoyed this and appreciate the invite.
Well, it's always good to have the mayor, and I've had, 3-4 mayors now, because, Okay, well, let's start with that. Give us a little background about yourself.
Well, let's see. I've been, Carol and I have lived in Oakdale 30 years, roughly. We built a house up on the north side near the Oakdale Nature Center, the Discovery Center Preserve. And Carol and I have a son who is just turned 30.
Jeez.
So time flies. But I've been really, really fortunate to have a career in the real estate industry, which is primarily commercial. That has allowed me some flexibility to be able to get involved with the city. And so I served as a city councilor for 12 years, and now, really, I think it's 14 years. And now I've been able just to, this is finishing my 5th year as mayor.
Let me ask you, so you're up in 2023?
Next year.
Next year. Are you planning on rerunning, do you think, or don't you know?
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
And I get asked that, of course, quite often.
Sure.
And candidly, this year has been tough. We've had COVID, we've had economic difficulties, we've had the George Floyd killing, we've had just so many elements that have really stressed our leadership staff.
And we've had a lot of new turnover in the city too. We have to mention that.
So some days it is absolutely I want to run. Other days I think, you know, maybe it's time for somebody else to step in and serve the city in that manner.
It's funny you should mention that, because I'm thinking the same thing about this program. I don't know what to do, but that's another story. So anyway, let's talk a little bit of history of Oakdale. Do you have a little background?
I do, and I'm surprised, I think, or it always surprised me when I think about when the city was established. It was only established in 1974, so not that long ago. But we've done a phenomenal job. You know, the uniqueness or the God-given gift, I guess, of our location, when you think about it. We are right in the middle of I-694, I-94, Highway 36, Highway 20, and then the old Highway 5, which is now County Road 14. So the location parameters have been terrific. We've had the right amount of industrial commercial. We've got some beautiful residential. We've got the easy proximity to the Washington County park system. It has just always been a jewel on the East Metro that I've been so fortunate to be involved in.
Absolutely. Now, we have a lot of old properties in Oakdale too, and I know that's on the long-range plans. Let's say like Century Avenue. You know, some of those houses are older and probably a little worn out, and there is, in the grand scheme of things, something going to redo that, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is. Senator Uyghur, give him a lot of credit for initiating the conversation, the discussions. Now think about that too. Century, which is also called Geneva, also called 120, also called Division, you know, it's a street that parallels 3 cities, Oakdale, North St. Paul, Maplewood, 2 counties, Washington and Ramsey. So it's a little bit complicated to orchestrate a unified effort to improve that whole stretch. Hence, kudos to Senator Uyghur and his staff to initiate the conversation from, really we're talking from 94, heading all the way north to I-694.
694, that's right. Yeah.
And in fact, we have another meeting coming up here shortly next week, or 2 weeks from now. So
very important, because I mean, that street is getting, the street houses and all that are getting old. I mean, it needs to be redone a little bit.
Some rejuvenation, absolutely.
Rejuvenation, absolutely. Okay, so you know what, speaking of Oakdale, you know, it's a wonderful city to live in. And what are some of the things that the city has done, you know, over the years, you know, some of the things that get the community involved?
You know, we call that really the quality of life.
Yes.
And it's one thing to have a community for good business and that type of thing. But if people don't feel connected, don't feel a part, don't feel appreciated, don't have opportunities to serve, I think it's lacking. So we're fortunate to have a great tradition of enhancements for the community. And I can go down the list from the Oakdale Awards, which is awarding well done landscaping across the board, residential, commercial, and spiritual or non-public or non-private. And then we have things like Touch a Truck, which brings out these families and all these kids, ranging from the toddlers to the teens, but they have the ability to climb and move and honk the horn from our big ladder trucks to garbage trucks to snow plows to lawnmowers. We can go on from the indoor farmers market up at the Discovery Center. Every Saturday, over 20 vendors come with their wares, many times homemade, to serve to the residents. We have the Summerfest, the long-standing tradition of having a wonderful celebration for our community. We can have a number of other things also.
The farmers market, we can't forget the farmers market.
It's fantastic.
It is. I mean, I go there every week.
Farmers market is also an opportunity for the local growers to provide their wares and their food and their flowers and their breads and their jams and their honey to people in the community. And so they set up on the parking lot of City Hall pretty much every Wednesday during the summer, and it's just a really nice time.
It's been very successful too, hasn't it?
Yes. There's something about Oakdale, again, and I'll call it that jewel of the East, Metro East, that vendors, when they come and set up and spend their time to set up their wares, the feedback we get from them is that our people are courteous, our people are happy. There's lots of people that come, and they hope that they come. The vendor comes next time, so they can come back and get additional food or flowers. So there's something about the way that we do it here in Oakdale that just I'm so thankful for.
Well, it's been very successful. I know, like I say, I stop every week. I have to go there and just look at the darn produce, if not, and I buy more than I need, but it's so tempting, and it's done so well. I mean, it's just the farmers are good, and right?
Agreed. I agree.
It is. It's good deal. Paul, let's talk about the history of Oakdale. Give us a little background.
Yeah. Well, it's. I wonder if people know really when we were incorporated. So it was only 1974. So since then, we've grown. We're located well, and currently we have just about 29,000 people. We have 29,000 people. We also have slightly over 11,500 households. And you think about that, that's a pretty good sized community. Our projections are going to be that we'll be up to maybe 31,000 by 2030.
Okay.
So we are, I said 31,000. So we are progressively growing, and I think some of the development projects that we'll talk about a little bit later attend to that, and that is an attribute of success.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into that either. But I know, just for example, Castle School was one of the first schools that they remodeled in the 622 school district in anticipation of all the growth that's going to be up at the north end of town, and that's the Willowbrook, which we're going to get into if we got time, because we have to hit the Willowbrook. That's very important. Okay, so let's talk about some of the major developments that are going on or have gone on. Let's start with the home furniture project. A lot of people are interested and wondering what's going on in the movie theater. Okay, go ahead.
So the movie theater, as many people will remember, came on tough times. Now, when they closed down or severely reduced their business, we were fortunate that home furniture and the owners and proprietors wanted a larger footprint. So this is really a relocation from the home furniture in Woodbury, just south of 94, that's coming to Oakdale. So this is going to be home, Dock 86, seasonal concepts, and they're also creating space for additional complementary retailers.
Hey, is that going to all be in one building? Is that how they're working it?
It is.
It is. So I mean, you see in the plans, I'm sure. So you walk in the door and what, home furniture's over here and the other ones are around in the same building?
Generally, yes. And it's also set up under the newer model that retailers have figured out because of the COVID. So it's not a setup where going to be hundreds and hundreds of people are going to be walking through this large building anymore like they did in the old days. The new setup is going to be based on catering to people who have already gone through the selection process in the inquiry online, and then we come to do the final fit and finish, I like to call it. And so it will be set up into small vignettes, I believe, or showrooms, and people can go and get what they have already looked at to make sure that their purchase.
So this is going to all be in one building, is that correct?
It is.
But then, okay, so then we have the ARC buildings, AERC, the ARC building.
ARC building, Animal
Animal
Education and Referral Center.
Yeah.
Animal Emergency
area.
Referral Center, excuse me.
Yeah.
So those guys are perform so well.
Now tell us
first
where
set up-
that is.
This is up on Helmo, just adjacent to the new home store. And this is an expansion. The first animal clinic was created, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago. And the success that they've had and the services that they want to expand.
That was on Helmo Avenue, the one on Helmo.
Thank you. The services that they want to expand led them to decide to add a new building. So they went across the street and really bought a portion of the parking lot of the old Carmike Theater, where home is now, and are building this tremendous, top-notch facility.
Unbelievable. And I'm going to say that the movie theater that's now going to be the home, the gods looked down on us on that one. I mean, we could have sat for years on an empty piece of property, and that's been happening in Coon Rapids and all over the Twin City area, where a shopping center goes belly up, and and it sits. But we were really lucked out on that one, right?
We did.
And let me ask you this: was somebody out trying to entice these people to come here, or did they just approach us?
It goes two ways. One is our participation in various groups or social media campaigns. There's always a presence that we are promoting Oakdale to the business community. The other one is that business owners, entrepreneurs look around to see where things are going to be happening.
They have agents out doing that sort of thing, don't they?
It's both. It's the site selectors, but it's also the owners themselves.
Sure.
And when, like we mentioned earlier, it took 20 years to get to the point of people knowing that we're successful, knowing that we have good, stable government, knowing that our tax rates are reasonable, knowing our school education system is fantastic. And all those things contribute to decisions to invest their capital.
I'm going to bring up a point on that. I'm one of the original founders of the Economic Development Commission, and that was back in 1985. And that's how old I am, but that's another story. Anyway, but I remember we used to have to go, we were trying to get businesses to come here, and we would go out soliciting Hardee's and McDonald's and anybody to come in the city. Boy, we had a heck of a time because there was nothing here, and they didn't feel the growth was coming quite yet. But I mean, it just took years, and I mean, like you say, since 1970, and we started way back then, and there was nothing going on. We just couldn't get anything happening.
Well, and the kicker is, too, you touched on it, is the smart leadership, but it's also the dedicated volunteers and business people that want to move the community forward.
Yes.
So that marriage of the two many times results in some fantastic things like we're seeing today.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so another new thing is that the water treatment facility, that's up on Helmo and 12th Street, I believe, in that area. Okay, so what's that all about?
So, real long story, we have 9 wells in the community of Oakdale. 7 are used routinely, and then we have a couple of backup ones. We have an issue with the PFOA, so we have the water quality elements, and we have solved that through a relationship with 3M on the original filtration system over by Public Works. So we were through that filtration system, the water quality is at a no detect level of any PFOA, PFOS. That's a phenomenal level. And a byproduct of that filtration is that many other things are filtered out of the water too. Mm-hmm. So the taste of our water, the cleanliness of our water is top notch.
Oh, that's great.
So we have one well that on a midsummer day or week when everybody's using their sprinkler systems and the water demands are high, we have used that one well to supplement the water services. Mm-hmm. It has remained lower than the health-based values, but now with this additional filtration treatment plant on that well, we're able to provide that no-detect water all year round.
And that was built with 3M money, is that correct? With the settlement money?
Yes, it was 3M money, and also there's a grant element from the state.
Good, wonderful. But I have no problem with the taste of the Oakdale water. It's always been pretty darn good.
I drink it every day.
Every day. And shower with it and everything, don't we? Okay, so the other thing, Eagle Point Elementary School, a lot of stuff going on up at that school. Tell us a little about that.
You know, our residents and really the school district community of 622, Maplewood, North St. Paul, Oakdale, and a portion of Woodbury and Landfall, voted in favor of this bond. And the bond was to enhance, renovate school buildings, to improve their function, to improve the security, to improve the technology elements, and the improvements are just continuing to happen. Skyview we saw, Tartan is coming up and under construction, Eagle Point, and the list goes on. So we are so fortunate that very, very shortly our arena or our area will have enhanced schools to give the kids one more shot at a better education and better technology for making their lives successful.
Now, the Castle School, I'm up at the north end as you are. I toured that when it was first done. Unbelievable. It was just so, I wish I was in kindergarten again. I'd love to start all over again. Didn't they do a wonderful job out there?
Yes, yes.
It was so good. And I know that's one of many, and they're going to do it all to the rest of them too.
And again, it's also that planning, or the two-pronged deal. So the planning of it and the leadership of it from 622.
Absolutely.
But then also the constructors in making it work and to be a enhanced, seamless building. I agree. It's a wonderful building.
Superintendent of Schools, Stucci. She's just a wonderful lady, isn't she?
Yep.
Sario, she's just a wonderful lady. She's so dedicated and so on top of it. I just love her. She's
Agreed.
great. Anyway, so another thing in the Glenbrook Small Area Plan on Highway 36 and 120. I was looking at a map on that, and I don't quite understand what's going on there, and I didn't know anything about this, and I know everything. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so think about that quadrant, and for the viewers that are watching us, the quadrant that is north and east of Dairy Queen on Century and 36. So it's that neck of the woods, and when you drive there next time, notice that the combined uses, we have industrial, commercial, single family, multifamily, and now with the potential for Washington County extending a bus rapid transit line from Oakdale down to Stillwater, we wanted to do a plan to identify how that area should develop. So that's that small area plan. It's in the works. It slowed down a little bit because of COVID and the Zooming and not in-person interactions, but the plan is in the works.
And that's going to be, they're going to make an interchange there of some sort too, 36 and Century, right?
At some point they need to. You know, that's a tough, high-traffic intersection at 36 and 120, and so that is under evaluation also. It's not on the list from MnDOT, but it's under the discussion list, which is the second step.
That's the only big major stop between St. Paul and into Stillwater, isn't it? I mean, now that Manning Avenue is being redone, so that's going to be open.
Until you get to Osgood.
Yes, and inside but that's in the city. I mean, what else are you going to do there? So,
Yep.
But anyway, yeah. I want to get back to that quadrant. I'm not quite sure exactly where that is. So if you went
So think about Larson Diesel.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. That's that area. And then we have the lumber yard.
Yes.
Glenbrook Lumber, and then we have the single family, and we have multifamily. So it's that whole area that is being studied to come up with a plan about eventual development.
Okay, so the that quadrant corner, how are you going to work that in? What's your plans there?
It's easy for me to say that that's what the plan will help us understand. So I don't know what we're going to do yet. So as we work through the final elements of the plan, it'll become more obvious the choices we get to make with significant resident and community input, and that's where we're heading.
Okay. All right, now let's look forward to some of the major developments happening in Oakdale. And these are really big. And again, we are so blessed that we've got people interested in coming to Oakdale and investing a lot of money. I mean, these projects are huge, absolutely huge. Let's start with the Forefront Technology Building, which is the former Emation building. And I mean, and I've interviewed the owners of that, the Larson family, wonderful people, and they're so dedicated and they're so foresightedness, right? I mean, they're just looking ahead. They know what they're doing. Okay, go ahead, the Forefront.
So really just a couple of pieces on that that are important, I think, is that first off, the Slumberland headquarters and the additional space that's there is almost 90% leased. You know, people don't realize that. They see the 300,000 feet of space in that campus and think, oh my gosh. But reality is it is 90% plus or minus leased. Phenomenal.
Yep.
The additional development that we've approved from the city includes several 100,000 feet of light industrial space. Not bulk warehouse, because it's also important to have the employee base and the jobs being created with this development. But they've got two options, one large building, or two large buildings.
Now these are to be built, right?
These are to be built.
Okay, yep.
So it's between the existing campus, west to the 694.
Mm-hmm.
And in that space there is deceivingly large amount of space.
Yes.
So that's where that's going to go.
Okay. In the meantime, they're leasing the land out for farming. They did anyway. I don't know if they're going to keep doing that, but
Probably not.
probably not.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
that's all over with. Okay, the other one, is the Tartan High School redevelopment. Now that's a big one. That's a big issue, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's another attribute that shows that our people care about our education. Thank gosh that they approved the referendum for the construction activities. And Tartan is going to be totally redone and rejuvenated to take us into the 21st century, 22nd century.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now the other big, huge development is the Willowbrook up on Ideal, between Ideal and the freeway, and well, anyway, up in it'd be north of the Emation building.
Correct.
All that property north, all the way up to what 50th Street, just about.
That's right.
Yeah.
So think about anywhere in the Twin Cities that there was over 200 acres of land undeveloped, ready to be developed, and this is what we're talking about. So it's the property north of Emation Forefront, the Slumberland headquarters, all the way up, and when it's all complete, it'll be roughly 1,400 units of housing. It is totally housing. So of that 1,400, there'll be roughly 380 single-family homes. There'll be, with the rest being different types of multifamily, from larger buildings to smaller developments like currently is underway from the Continental Group, which is developing a gated rental townhome community, which is going to be pristine because of the amenities that are going to be offered in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited as can be. And as you drive north on Ideal right now, you can see the model home from Lennar,
Sure.
which is the developer of the single-family projects. And over time, I'll suggest that by next July, we'll see additional multifamily housing being done. And it's a huge attribute to the community.
It is. And you know, when you drive by that property on 40th Street and you look to the right and to the left, it's so hard to believe, you know, that was just a weed field. I mean, I shouldn't say it's crop field. It was all
right.
crops.
That's right.
But how many houses and how much development can go into that? And the Lennar or whoever's doing the plowing and the building, I mean, they're just doing a fabulous job.
They are. You're right.
And I know if you go on over 40th Street, just before you get to the freeway, there's a big chunk of property on the left-hand side, and that's going to be a high-rise, if I read correctly?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it'll be a high-rise, Frank. It'll be probably a 4-story apartment building.
That's okay, that's what it was. But anyway, it's plenty of room to get all this in. I just can't believe it. And then there are woods along the way, and I'm sure the woods is going to go eventually. But
Well, that's the beauty of the planning process that was done in those mature woods on the northwest part of the site. Stay. That was important to us, and we heard from the residents that stays. The other thing that's going to be had here or done here is that the amount of open space for the park land and trail connections is significant. Imagine that every single home, except 10 is what I've been told, will have access to a trail front
Oh,
or
that's
back.
great.
And
That
it
is
is
so great. That's major planning. That is
Yes.
so very good. This is going to be a hell of a development.
I agree.
Anyway, Paul, I'm afraid we are out of time. My producer in there is screaming and hollering and waving me that we are out of time. So do you have any last messages?
I do. So thank you again for inviting me today. And this past 12, 13, 14 months has been very difficult. So I'm thankful to our employees.
Yes.
I'm thankful to our volunteers and our members of the community that have made this community work. The setbacks that we've had from COVID, and yet then the strength that has occurred through the realization that we are almost out of this and we are getting out of this, just has made us very strong. It also caused some issues. I think you've alluded to that some of the changes in our staff from retirements. We've had our senior people retire, and we've had other people choose to do other things. So I want to express my thanks. Truly, our employees have been terrific, and they have served the residents of Oakdale very, very well. So to wrap up, I wanted to wish everybody that's viewing a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays from myself, our council members, which would be Councilmember Ingebrigtsen, Councilmember Swedberg, Councilmember Olson, and Councilmember Zabel, and the entire staff of the community, a very happy and safe holidays.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today, Paul.
You're welcome. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks to all of you for watching, and happy holidays.